David Cameron has rare political opportunities. A second chance to write some of his international legacy. Brexit has weakened our ability to shape Europe, which in turn has limited our power to harmonize the US and the EU. As Prime Minister, Cameron was also part of a generation that believed doing more business with Russia and China would secure peace and profit. In retrospect, this idea seemed dangerously naive. Now, as a Secretary of State focused on shoring up Ukraine and reining in Russia, he has 9 months to fix some of that. And it could help reimagine how democracies can compete in a barren 21st century. It faces two immediate goals. One is to undermine Russia's war machine. The other is to arm Ukraine. Both will require quick tactical fixes. But they are also part of a much larger strategic story. Vladimir Putin based Russia on a war economy. Its factories are producing missiles, armed drones and tanks at unprecedented rates. Sending hundreds of thousands of soldiers to their deaths was not a major obstacle for Putin. Russian TV propaganda is again cynical, full of threatening jokes about how the country's unstoppable army will advance into Poland and whether it is worth taking Lisbon. As military production increases, sanctions designed to undermine these supply chains may appear to have failed. The truth is that they were never used as a focused weapon. Take, for example, the CNCs required for all of Russia's military production. Western companies such as DMG Mori have been told to stop selling these machines to Russia since 2022. But this is not enough to undermine their operation because most of the machines are already in Russia and they can still buy new ones. We supply and spare parts through intermediaries. For sanctions be effective, you also need to sanction every component and intermediary on the way. And then use every other tool governments have stopped such machines from running. The same needs to be done for all the other technologies on which Russia is critically dependent. In words of Christopher Harrison, a former U.S. State Department and defense official who now runs the Kleptocracy Project, an anti-corruption NGO, U.S. policymakers created sanctions as a foreign policy tool, but then never bothered to examine implementation of policy. They did not enter. There is not even a special team in the U.S. Treasury to enforce sanctions against Russia. The same body that does the licensing also needs to cover worldwide enforcement. Britain should lead creation of a coordinated sanctions and military supply chain body that brings together the efforts of UK, US and EU. This will map complex Russian military supply chains at every step, identify their choke points, and marshal resources to disrupt them using all tools. Law enforcement, diplomacy, overt and covert actions. Britain could also take the lead in helping Ukraine defend itself against Russia's genocidal aggression. At a time when U.S. military support is being held hostage by Dom.